Hey everyone, today we are going to be graphing on a coordinate plane. So our objective for the day is to learn to graph points and lines on the coordinate plane. So the coordinate plane is formed by two number lines, the x-axis and the y-axis. So the x-axis, I'm going to make that in yellow, and this right here, this is the x-axis here. It includes positive numbers. This is 0 right here. Positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And then to this side of the x-axis after 0 is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and so on. So it has the x-axis and it has the y-axis, which would be right here. I'm going to highlight it a little bit more. So just like the x-axis, this is 0. Anything up would be a positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, and so on. Anything below 0 would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and so on. Okay, so they intersect at right angles. That means there's 90 degrees. And this divides this plane into 4 quadrants. So what we have is this is called quadrant 1. They kind of use Roman numerals for it. And notice that anything in quadrant 1, that would be any point in this area. This whole thing right here is quadrant 1, okay? So notice that this, for here, if we had a point, anything in here would have a positive x value. So I'm going to say positive x. Usually we wouldn't put a positive, but I'm just going to put it. It'd have a positive x value, and it would also have a positive y value. So any point in there, like let's see, this would be, x would be 1, 2, and if we had up 3, 1, 2, 3. This point right here is 2, 3. 2 in the x direction and up 3. This is the x, this is the y. Notice that 2, 3 is positive and positive. They're both positive. Let's think of another one. How about positive 6? Let's plot this point. 6, 6. That would be a positive 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 6. The x and the y are both positive, and that's why it's in quadrant 1. Okay, let's look at things that are in quadrant 2. Now, if it's in quadrant 2, let's see what happens. This whole thing is quadrant 2. Well, what kind of x values do we have here in quadrant 2? Well, these are negative x values. So the point here is going to have a negative x value. And what about y value? Yes, the y is going to be positive. So the points in this are going to follow this pattern. They're all going to have a negative x and a positive y. So let's look at a few examples of this. Let's go, how about negative 5, positive 3? I'm just going to put 3. This is the x, this is the y. So we're going to go over a negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up a positive 3, 1, 2, 3. And see how that point is in quadrant 2, negative 5, 3. Let's do one more, maybe something up here. Let's see what this is. Well, this would be negative 1, negative 2, the x part would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. Yes. So the x part is negative 7. That's the x part. Now what's the y? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's a positive 9. So that's how you would write this point. And notice it has a negative x and 9 is positive. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is quadrant 3. Now this over here is quadrant 3. Now, any point that might be in quadrant 3, let's see what the pattern is for this. Well, it looks like the x-axis, these are all negative. So it's going to have a negative x, and also the y is down here, so it's going to have a negative y. So let's pick a point. How about this one? Let's see here. What is this point? Well, this is the x is -1, -2. So -2 is the x, and what about the y? -1, -2. So yes, the x is negative and the y is negative. It follows this pattern. Let's pick another one. How about right here? Oh, okay, let's see here. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. So this is a -8 for the x and a -1, 2 for the y. So it follows that pattern again. The x is negative and the y is negative. All right, can anyone guess what this quadrant is called? This quadrant is called quadrant. I'm just going to write it in here. Quadrant. Ooh, that's kind of bright. Quadrant 4. Okay, and let's talk about what the pattern is for these. Well, it looks like the x values are, yes, they are positive. So it has a positive x value. And what about the y values? It looks like any points in here would have a negative y value. So let's check. How about right here, this point? What would this be? I love this gel pen. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, these are positive x's. We always got to do the x first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that is a positive 9. Oh, come on. I need you to work for me. Okay, positive 9. Positive 9 for the x. I need you to work. There we go. We get some juice. Getting some juice. So positive 9, and what for the y? So this is going down, so it's negative from 0. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. This would be -5 for the y. So yes, it follows the pattern. X is positive and y is negative. Let's do another one. We'll just do a nice easy one right here. What is this? This is x is +1, +2. +2, and what about the y? The y is just -1. So this is the x and this is the y. The x is positive and the y is negative. It fits our overall pattern. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, the next thing we are going to talk about is the lovely thing called the origin. The origin is this thing right in the middle. That is called the origin. And the origin, I'm going to draw a line right there. This is the origin. And whenever you hear the origin, you know that you are at 0, 0. That means x is 0 and y is 0. X is 0 here and y is 0. It says, to plot an ordered pair, begin at the origin, the point 0, 0. It is the intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-coordinate tells us how many units to move to the left or right, and the y-coordinate tells us how many units to move up or down. Perfect. Okay, so let's do a couple problems here. Okay, this is example number 1. We are going to be finding the coordinates and the quadrants of points on a plane. So give the coordinates and quadrants of each point. So I think I'm going to try here, and I hope this lovely pen works. I'm kind of excited about this color. Okay, it's not working. All right, we're going to have to switch it up to a different one. Okay, point R is, let's see here. Now remember, for a coordinate is an X and a Y, okay? We have to figure out how many parts it goes X first, the X part is. So here, this is R. So if we start at the origin here and we count over, okay, the X is a +1. So it's going to be 1. And how many is it up for R? It is up 1, 2, 3. And so that's, when you go up, that's the Y part. So it's 3. And then what quadrant is it in? I would say it's in this first quadrant, which is called quadrant 1. I'm just going to call it quad 1 for short. Okay, on to the next one, point S. Ooh, this one's a little tricky. Point S is, what's the x part? The x part is right here, so that is on 0. And then it is down 1, 2, 3. So this is the y part, and it's going down in this direction, so that would be negative. It'd be -1, -2, -3. -3. Now, this is kind of on the line between quadrants 1, 2, 3, 4. Between quadrants 3 and quadrant 4. So what we would call is, we would just call this on the y-axis. Okay, point T. Point T is right here. Let's figure out what the x is. Okay, here's 0, and it's going this direction, which means it's going negative. So -1, -2. And then it is going up from 0. It's going up 1, 2. And what quadrant? This is quadrant number 1. This is quadrant number 2. It's in quadrant number 2. Okay, lastly, there is point U. Now, point U, the x part of it is over here, so we're going in the negative direction. -1, -2, -3. And the y part is just on 0. Now, this is between the quadrant 1, 2, 3. Between quadrant 2 and 3, and it is directly on the x-axis. So, now it is time for you to check it out. I need you to go ahead and try to complete this problem by yourself. So it is time for our friend, the pause dragon. He is coming, and he is reminding us to pause our laptop or computer or whatever device you're watching this, and then solve the problem and come back, and we'll discuss it in a little bit. All right, see you in a bit. All right, we are back, and we're going to talk about point J. We're going to give the coordinates and the quadrants of each one. So J is right here. I'm going to say the x part is 0. The x part is 0, and the y is in a positive direction, 1, 2. And this is between quadrants 1 and 2, and it's on directly on the y-axis. So I hope you got that one right. Okay, on to the next one, point M. Point M, this is 0, the origin, so it's the x part is 1, 2. And the y part is at 0, so this is directly on the x-axis. And on to point K. Okay, let's look at point K's x part. Okay, here's K. The x part is over 1. Now, it's this way. It's to the left of 0. That means it's going to be a -1. And then it's going up, which is positive. So positive 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. And that is in quadrant. This is quadrant 1. This is in quadrant 2. So quad 2. And lastly, point P. So here's point P. Here's the origin. We're going over to the left, which is negative, -1, -2, -3. -3, and down this direction, you're going down 1, 2. So -2 for the y part. And this is in quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. All right, I hope you guys got all those correct, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.